Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Amateur Operator. Today, we are going to be going over a few things that have been addressed by both myself, folks in my comment section, as well as just the overall community of USPSA. And I'd like to address some of those things. But you saw the title of the video, so I just want to address one thing first. Oklahoma City Gun Club has given me the opportunity to get as good as I am now. I'm not amazing or anything. But has given me a wonderful, fantastic opportunity to get to the skill level that I am at now. And that does not go, I can't do this video without saying that. I am truthfully, 100%, I am very thankful for the opportunity that Oklahoma City Gun Club has been able to give me. Not only in USPSA, but with the practical rifle matches. I have some videos on that on my channel. I've done the AR Steel Challenge. Those guys are great. I love those guys. And a couple other stuff that I've done there as well. But it's a fact that I would not be where I am without Oklahoma City Gun Club. I just need to lay that out there. However, there have been many cases where me personally, this is a sample size of one. I do not want to speak for anybody other than myself. I have been, I don't even want to say the word victim, but I've been at the tail end of situations in which enforcing the rules, interpretation of rules, and just overall like participation in matches has been not great. For the most part, I just want to tackle one thing at a time. Okay, the first thing that I want to tackle is the comment section of my Oklahoma State Championship video. I think that needs to be first and foremost. So, okay, so let's start out with this. This is the, let's see if I can get it on screen here, the USPSA Oklahoma State Championship. I just posted this 2 days ago at the time of filming. So, I had stated on this video that this score is incorrect and was changed behind my back. Okay, that's my claim. Scorekeeper, who I believe, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I believe this is the RO's wife, if I'm not mistaken. She was great. She was lovely. She was super nice. I have no problem with her whatsoever. She hands me the tablet. She's like, here you go. Here's your score. And early on in the day, I actually asked, I was like, am I required to hit it? Because I wasn't really aware of that. And she was like, yeah, you have to. 1 Delta, no mic, 649. So I say 1 Delta, no mics, 649. 649 being the hit factor that I got on the stage. I pointed out that I saw the RO, and so this is the RO. This was the RO for our stage. I was not going to introduce names to this video. I really wanted to leave people's names out of it. It was not my intention to put anybody specifically by name on blast, but he entered my comment section with his full government name. So this is Chad, okay? He is, I believe he's one of the main ROs or match directors at Oil Capital, which is in Tulsa area. And this, I believe, he didn't comment, to my knowledge. He didn't comment on my video, so I'm not gonna divulge his name. But from what I understand, he's either a main competitor at Oil Capital or also one of the match directors. I'm not entirely sure of that. Don't take that as fact, but I'm pretty certain. I found this suspicious. I had already hit approve. We're done. Good to go. This is also the second time that I've shot this stage, which is important. This is something that needs to be laid out. This is the second time we shot the stage because of an equipment failure. It was one of the skills, and I'll show that, right? So I'm just going to go over my claim super quick, right? They were messing with it after I hit it. So this was edited a few seconds later. What it was 28 seconds later, okay? And that's going to be important. I'm going to write this down. So right here, right? This was 28 seconds after I hit approve, right? And the only thing that they did was add a procedural. It says added everything else, but it's the only difference between the two is that they added the procedural. Nobody's contesting. And then the score that I actually got, I said 649. This says 603. So I'm like, what's going on here? You can see when I zoom in, there are no procedurals at the time of hitting approve. I had approved with my own finger in 4K at 2 different angles. So they added a procedural on what might have been, I've looked into it, it would have been my second best stage. So they added procedural on what might have been my best stage of the match and intentionally refused to tell me. This is a fact, and I'll show you why later. For what exactly, feel free to watch the stage again. There was no procedural that happened during the stage, before make ready, after make ready, while I was shooting the stage, after I showed clear, and before I hit approve. Nothing that constitutes a procedural happened during that time. And I think even Chad, the RO, will agree to that. To this day, I have not been made aware as to why. Well, to this day, I have been made aware. Luckily, I actually just found this out. The YouTube comment section of my channel is actually, this is a true story, is actually where the RO and the match director are supposed to tell you of why you got a procedural. True story. So luckily, I have my YouTube comment section, and they were able to tell me after I posted the video. So thank God for that, right? So what are we looking at? So that's pretty much the situation that we're dealing with, right? But I don't want to watch the YouTube video. It has clips, it has cuts. It's completely chopped up just for flow of my video. So I do not want to deal with that. What I want to do is I want to pull up the actual video. Well, actually, before we do that, let's just look at what everybody said. So Wiley Brown, right? I know who this is. He said, yeah, dude, the procedural on stage 15, that was just one fix, is for using an aiming device during walkthrough. The RO and Rangemaster both told you what it was for. I hold true that the RO and the Rangemaster did not tell me what that was for. But we'll talk about that here in a second. He said C Rule 8.7.2, which we will do, which is right here. We're gonna take a look at this in a second. First and foremost, to Wiley, you were not there. Just want to put that out there. You were not in my squad. You were not even there that day. You were home, and you live far away from this range, so I doubt your binoculars from the house were able to see this. But he was not there, so we'll just ignore his comment for now. And then this is Dr. Mitch Gibson. I don't know if he's a doctor. That'd be really cool if he was. Props to you, man. If you are a doctor, props to you. I didn't know that. But he is the match director. So he says, the procedural that you got for cheating, he's claiming that I'm cheating, okay? This is the match director of Oklahoma City Gun Club. He is making the claim on a public forum with his full government name that I'm cheating, that I am cheating. And let me just look up the definition of cheating. To act dishonestly or unfairly in order to gain an advantage, especially in a game or examination, right? So the important part here is act dishonestly or unfairly, right? So I would assume, and I think most people would assume as well, that this involves intent, right? The procedural you got for cheating by using an aiming device during the walkthrough, we're going to define our terms here in a second, on stage 15 is why your hit factor went down on that stage. At level 2 matches, it's expected that competitors know the rules. Okay, bold claim. So I replied, and I said, I did find out about the stage being thrown out. I found out from another person. But refer to my comment under Grizzly97, which is the comment under here. We're not going to read all that. I'm just going to basically make the argument that I made in that comment during this whole video. I said the rules were not followed properly. Again, this is my claim. And the procedural was administered incorrectly, meaning they didn't give me the procedural the right way, even if it was valid. And the reason they wanted to give it to me in the first place is invalid and does not fall under 8.7.2, right? Which I'm going to make the case for that here in a minute as well. I went a little too far. With this, admittedly, but I said it's expected you know the specifics of the rules, the proper interpretation of those rules by NROI, and proper procedure of administering those rules as the match director. Now, did I go a little too far? I got a little excited. I could have just left it at this and made my case in this video, but to this, I think I went a little too far. Hope you can forgive me. And then Grizzly, this is another person. I don't know who this is, to be fair. I don't know who this is. I'm not going to make any claims. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I'm not going to make any claims as to who it is, which is why I always refer to them as the Grizzly97 thing. He said, C Rule 8.7.2 for the procedural. You were walking the stage with a prop gun and an aiming device before you shot the stage. You were told you would receive a procedural for that once you shot the stage. You left that part out and are blaming people for cheating. Be honest. Okay, that's the case that we're going to make during this video. Very bold claim, right? Very bold claim here. So I'll show you. You can go ahead and read this. It is an in-depth analysis of everything that's being mentioned in these comments, as well as defending my statement on the thing. I encourage you to read it. I don't believe that anybody that commented read it. And then this is Chad. He said, we're not going to read all these comments. There's a lot of comments. But you can go ahead and read them. I encourage you to read them. But we'll talk about the first one, right? He said, I was the RO for the stage. And I do remember his name was Chad. I did learn that during the day. I specifically told you that you couldn't do that. This did not take place. His claim is that he told me. My claim is that he didn't. And I'm gonna show as much evidence as humanly possible to justify that claim. I can't prove it, but I can certainly provide a lot of evidence that that did not happen. So you said you argued that it was plastic and not a working dot that you had taped to the top of your yellow plastic gun. I told you that it was a procedural and the Rangemaster was called and confirmed. This is disingenuous at the very least. He did not tell me that it was a procedural. So this guy, where is he? This guy right here, this guy yelled at me and said something along the lines of, I had this part on camera, but it was on my glasses, like my meta glasses. But you know, I've since deleted those because I usually throw out glasses footage that isn't the actual stage itself. So that's on me. I'm gonna have to make my claim without that. But he said something along the lines of, on that clip, like, you can get disqualified for that. Like that's a straight up disqualification. Something along those lines. I don't know verbatim. So yeah, he said something along the lines of, you can get disqualified for that. I was very far away. I was still in the squad, or sorry, I was still like in the stage area, like goofing around like with my John Wick thing. Yeah, funny enough, when I was playing with this little gun, let me walk you through the whole thing. You know what? We'll do that in a second. Let me just continue with the comments and then I'll lay all this out. His claim is that he told me it was a procedural. My claim is that he did not, because he did not. And the range master was called and confirmed. The reason I say it's disingenuous is because the range master, I'm not going to say his name because he didn't comment on the video. Many of you know who he is. The range master was not called over specifically for this reason. He was there because they were dealing with the stage being broken. One of the steels, like the mount or something, like broke. Was called and confirmed. Now he can very easily just say, like, while he was there, he was just like, hey, come here, I'm going to talk to you about something. So slightly disingenuous. It comes off or with the implication that he specifically called him over specifically to divulge this information and to, you know, question whether or not to give me a procedural or whatever, right? But that's not really what happened. He was just kind of already there. But that's not what we're talking about. I'm kind of nitpicking at this point. He said, please study the rules before you try to make another shooter/RO look bad on social media. This is an extremely bold claim. So I had gone on to mention that, let me get to the front here. I had gone on to mention in these that prior to editing this video, right? Or at least I finished like prior to editing this video. I wasn't fully done. But prior to editing this video and prior to responding to these comments with mine, and I'm not going to delete any of them. So I had told him that I have handwritten the USPSA rule book, not like the appendix or the table of contents or anything, but rules 1 through 12. So this is part of it. I have the rest of it on another notebook, but like I have handwritten the USPSA rule book by hand. I have 3 notebooks that are either fully or partially filled with the USPSA rulebook by my own hand. Okay, so he didn't know that, but very bold of him to say, please study the rules before. I would love to see his handwritten USPSA rulebook. I think that would be phenomenal. I think we should compare and contrast ours against each other. I digress. So before you make another shooter RO look bad on social media, listen. His claim is that I'm making somebody look bad, right? However, when you are in, where is it? When you are in 4K on camera and that footage makes you look bad, with all due respect, that is not my problem. But we're going to go over everything. So let's go over everything. Let me close this out, or at least put this off to the side for now. I'm going to pull up the original unedited clips, not from Premiere Pro or anywhere where I edit my videos. This is the original unedited clips that were pulled directly from my iPhone. I just want to do a walkthrough of every piece of footage that I have for this whole altercation. I want to leave everything unedited, like unclipped. I'm going to try my best not to skip parts that are important, and we'll go through it. So I want to start with the first time that I shot the stage, right? This is the first time I shot the stage right here. Nothing has happened at this point, right? So I am going to skip through this one because this one's mostly irrelevant. But I do want to show, you know, I'm shooting the stage, and then it was right there. These steels, when I shot them, when I shot them, one of these 2 steels broke for whatever reason. I didn't get like a hands-on close look at it or anything, but these broke, right? So, I ran out of ammo. But they still fell, so you know, it's still a valid, you know,
That mess.
stage.
I
Later
feel
on,
very bright.
they figure out that something broke when they're trying to reset it. Where is it?
Really cooking it. Did I make up for it?
So she says
Did I make up for it?
what's happening with the steel?
What's up with the steel?
So she's talking at me, but she's not really talking to me. I think she's talking to Chad, the RO. Now, I want to make this clear. She is not an official USPSA like trained RO. That's not to discredit her or anything. That's not to like say anything negative about her. But she was having trouble like scoring the hits, you know, early on in the day. So she's trying to point out like what happened to the steal, and I'm worried. I'm like, but it fell, right? So you know, I don't get hit with like a bike for it or anything. So he's looking at it. He's staring at the steal.
They both fell.
I'm like, they both fell. So you know, whatever. She hands me the tablet, and I score it. I got like a 4.
1 Delta, 12 Charlies.
Yeah, so 1 Delta 12 Charlies. It was kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, did benefit from having live fired the stage when I went to reshoot it. So we reshot it, and I absolutely benefited from having live fired the stage. That's, if anything, that's way more cheating than any use of a plastic gun could have possibly been. But we're not at that part yet. So right around here.
Good.
What happened now?
I don't know.
And you broke the target. So just yelling at me saying I broke the target.
I don't give 2 fucks. It fell. It fell, didn't it?
So I'm like, all right, we're good. We're good to go. And so I just want to put this out, right? So this video, so I just kind of talked for the rest of this video. The plastic gun thing doesn't happen until well after this. But we'll skip through just so, you know, like I don't leave this spot. I'm just kind of talking, just fucking blabbermouthing at the camera. Nobody's here. It's just kind of me yapping at the camera. Blah, 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 blah. And then I sit down, right? So this is 4 minutes and 35 seconds. And the properties, it's both the properties for this video. This began filming at the very beginning at 12:05 flat, right? 4 minutes, 35 seconds. That puts us at about 12:09 and a half at the end of this video, right? The next clip between this and then when I reshot is when I pulled out the plastic gun, which is funny because what I actually did, they're saying that I used it during my walkthrough. That is not the case, and I'll spell that out here in a second. I did not use it during my walkthrough. I pulled it out. I have this yellow plastic gun that I was given to by, it was like USPSA when I signed up for them years ago. And I have a fake, like, it's like a toy model situation thing. It doesn't work, it doesn't turn on, doesn't do anything. The glass is completely blocked off. It's a fake RMR, Fujikon RMR. And I have that electrical taped, like, to the top. And I use it for, like, hostage stuff, like, fun little, like, you know, like, games and stuff inside my house. And I had it. It was just like in my range bag. I generally keep it in my range bag because, you know, I do some weird stuff at the range and stuff too. You know, I pulled it out, I started messing with it. And they said that I was using it like during my walkthrough to get like sight pictures and stuff. There are no sights on that gun. Like it has like fake iron sights, but they are completely blocked by the fake RMR, which is completely blocked by a fake piece of glass, right? So if that's what they want to get on about, that's just not the case. So what I was actually doing was I was just goofing off. You know, I was trying to make my friends laugh and stuff. And what I did was, you know that scene in like John Wick where he's like this and he's doing these like really wide footsteps, like bang, 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 bang. You know, I was goofing off and I was trying to make people laugh. Like that's what I did. And I was generally like in the stage area. A lot of people were kind of just like everywhere, you know, floating around because I'm going to pull full circle. So this video ended at 12:09. After this video is the next video. This is when I'm, you know, I go to like stand up. I wanted this part recorded to like get ready for the next stage. And we'll go through this here in a second. So when I pulled out the yellow gun, I realized like 10 seconds in, I was like, this, I mean, it's fake. I know it's fake. It's plastic. But I should probably like have courtesy and like make everybody aware. Like everybody knows this is fake, right? So what I did was I took it, I went up like this and I was like, everybody knows this is fake, right? And then this guy, not the RO of the squad, this guy said, I know his name, I'm not like calling him out or anything, but this guy said something along the lines of, and I don't have verbatim, I did have it on my glasses clip, but it was a long glasses clip and I ended up deleting it because it didn't have any like stage in it. So I'm gonna have to make the case without that footage. But in that footage, he said something along the lines of like you can get disqualified for that. Like that's a straight up DQ. Like put that thing away, right? And I immediately put it away. I was like, I don't want to get DQ'd. Like hell no, I'm not. This is a championship match. I cannot get DQ'd. So I put it away. But it made me a little nervous, right? This video, which took place after which, is 12:49. So we went from 12:09 to 12:49. So that's 40 minutes of lounge time. They're trying to fix the stage. They're trying to replace the steel. The range master came back like 3 or 4 times, messing with it. When I'm when I have this yellow plastic gun, I am not aware that I'm reshooting the stage by any capacity, and neither is anybody else, right? Including this person. But there was no official statement that we were reshooting. Everybody will agree to that. So I put it away, and I immediately walk away. That part is very important for like the rest of the time. Between that time and when they started reshooting, was probably 20 minutes, something, between when I shot, they realized the steel was broken, I pull out the gun, the fake gun, like while they're trying to fix everything, I start messing with it, and then that time to the restart, well, it's 40 minutes roughly, but they started reshooting everybody probably 10 minutes before this, so that whole period of time was probably around like 30 minutes, right? It was a long time, like we were chilling, and I didn't want to get DQ'd, so I went and to go get like cell service because I didn't have any like data. And I started Googling, like pulling up the USPSA rules, and I'm looking at all these rules. I'm like trying to find, like, hey, is there anything in any way, shape, or form based on what I did that could get me DQ'd? And the only thing that was close was like a safety infraction. Like if you cause like a safety concern, you can get disqualified. What I did find was this rule right here. The one that everybody keeps referencing is 8.7.2. At this point in time while I'm reading it, I did not fully understand the whole walkthrough definition thing, but we're gonna read it. Competitors are prohibited from using any guns or gun replicas as sighting aids while conducting their inspection. Parentheses, quote, walkthrough. Anytime that USPSA does this in the rulebook, it's to define a term. It's so that they can, like, they have definitions and references to this term so that the term is defined by USPSA standards. Of a course of fire, violation will incur 1 procedural penalty per occurrence, but also see Rule 10.5.1, like disqualifications and stuff. And we didn't end up doing that, so that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, like worst case scenario, I get a procedural, but nobody's told me anything at this point. Like nobody's told me anything on any official capacity, right? This guy has mentioned something about getting disqualified, and that's the extent of it to me, right? I know they were talking about it, but I left it alone. I wanted to be like benefit of the doubt if I just mind my P's and Q's. A lot of times ROs are very lenient with stuff, although this is a championship match, so I was a little bit more on guard. So I come back, right, and I tell my fiance, my camera person, I'm like, hey, film everything. I want everything on camera, and only stop filming when, like, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Competitors are prohibited from using any guns or gun replicas as sighting aids conducting their inspection, parentheses, quote, walkthrough, right? So what is a walkthrough? I'm so glad that you asked, right? So it's over here. 3.2 says competitors, like after the written stage briefing, so this is they read the stage briefing, any questions about the course of fire have been answered, answer any questions people have. Competitors should be permitted to conduct an orderly inspection or a parentheses, quote, walkthrough, right, of the course of fire. The duration of time for the inspection must be stipulated, means the duration of the walkthrough, right? It has to be defined. You have to, like the RO has to define the period of time that you're allowed to do the walkthrough, that the walkthrough exists. During this match, Chad, he was doing 4 minutes for the most part. 4 minutes, do your thing, right? That was before I shot it the first time, which is this video, when I broke the steel. That happened way before the fake gun thing happened. That happened before I shot the first time or anything, right? So that came and went. By this definition, by any conceivable interpretation, use of the plastic gun does not constitute under 8.7.2 because it didn't happen during the walkthrough, because words and specifics matter, right? So we'll move on. So let's see. Did he tell me about it, right? Did he tell me in any meaningful capacity, right? Here's this video. This is only like 45 seconds. I'm sitting. I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I'm praying or something. And then I stand up. They're still scoring the person before me, right? So here's them. They're scoring. I walk up.
Make sure you draw your guns out of the way first.
I hope he doesn't say anything. Benefit of the doubt. Let me just hope he doesn't say anything about it. Because a lot of times they do. It has been a long time. It's been lenient, and I'm thinking like, let's just play it by ear. We'll see what happens. Worst that could possibly happen is it gives me a procedural before I hit approve, right? So they're still scoring. And then there's a debate about this target back here. I don't know if you can hear that.
It's taking up.
So Sterling, sorry, I said I wasn't going to use names, but most people know him. He's great. I love his matches. He runs matches down in BSR. Sterling says he goes Delta Mike, maybe. So they determined
A lot of storage, remember?
to walk back there, and I just said right there, I'm like, hey, these videos take a lot of storage, so like, don't film anything that's like completely unnecessary when the RO's nowhere near me. So he walks back and he goes to like test this out, right? To like, I think he pulled out like a little card, but this is important. So I'm gonna get my times and everything right. So he's walking toward the backside, that backside. Then the video ends, right? This is 45 seconds. Properties for this video, 1612 are 12:49:26. This is when it was actually like filmed. You know, Friday November was created. This is when I like download it onto my computer, and then this is today, right? 12:49:26. This is when it was filmed. November 7th, Friday. This is when we were there. 12:49 and 26 seconds, right? The very next video takes place at. Let's pull up the properties of this one. Can I pull up two at a time? I can. Okay. 1613, right? This is 12:50:25. So this is when this video starts, and this is when this video starts, and this is when I shoot the stage the second time, the reshoot, right? And we'll go into that in a second. This video, which is I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna show the entire thing in its entirety. This starts at 12:50:25. This starts at 12:49:26. However, this video, which is the one that's behind here, is 47 seconds long. The difference between when this video starts and when this video starts is 59 seconds. Okay. So that would leave 12 seconds margin of error. 12 seconds. So this video happens. You know, I'm getting ready. The video ends. 12 seconds go by, and then this video. 12 seconds. You know, he's checking this one, and he starts walking back. 12 seconds go by, and I'm getting ready. This is the clip that is the most important in this entire video, right?
You call that partial, right?
I'm gonna show it.
Full diameter.
I'm gonna try not to talk over any like audio. I don't know. Can I turn it up? It's all the way up. So I'm gonna try not to talk over any audio. Does this matter? Yep, all the way up. Okay. I'm gonna try not to talk over any audio just to make sure everybody can hear everything. So there's no contesting, right? So right here, right? He's talking to somebody else.
I call it partial too. Yeah, I call it partial.
Talking to him. I'm doing my last little like walkthrough in my head. Okay, so somebody says make ready, and that's Chad. He's the RO, right? This is something I want to point out too. Something's about to happen here that I have figured out is not technically against USPSA rules, but it isn't right. So I make ready. I'm gonna show this entire clip. I don't want any cuts in this. I'll pause it, but I'm not gonna cut.
Oh, I don't have my chalk.
Didn't have my chalk. So right here at this, I'm gonna rewind a little bit. Actually, well, yeah, I'll rewind. So I didn't have any chalk, and I was complaining about that. But then listen to what Chad, the RO, says in the background.
Oh, I don't have my chalk.
Put your hands on the wall for me.
He said, "Put your hands on the wall for me." And I'm like, I'm thinking, yeah, I know, like, that's where the start position is, But I wasn't done with my make ready, so I'm not thinking anything of it. I didn't know why he told me to put my hands on the wall. I had no idea, right? So he says, "Put your hands on the wall for me." That's all he said, right? Continue.
Just for a second.
Just for a second. Okay, so he did say just for a second. So I put my hands on the wall, and I'm thinking like, I didn't even think anything of it. I'm like, this is the start position. So I'm still like, I am completely oblivious as to what's going on.
Thanks.
I'm still looking at the ground. I look at the back. I have not looked at the RO. Like I'm still doing like my little make ready thing. Like I'm not ready. And then I'm like, what the hell is going on, right? I finally do this like, what the fuck face.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what was happening? I'm gonna rewind. So I don't know if you can hear my fiance, my camera first.
Oh, I don't have my chalk.
Put your hands on the wall for me.
Just for a second. Thanks.
So she says, "Don't move from the wall," and I'm like, "Wait, like, why?" So I start looking. What was happening is that over in this area, this guy entered the shooting area while I have a loaded firearm.
Thanks.
Don't move from the wall.
Oh.
I believe what should have happened is he should have made me completely unload and show clear. Like, he should have just made me completely unload and show clear. I know it's like barely past me, and it's, like he's putting my hands in a safe area, and he overall is making it safe. However, this could have been handled better, right? Because I was not made aware that somebody was about to enter the freaking shooting area. But I think like a sticker fell or something, or somebody forgot to paste the target. So I'm like, oh. And I see him pasting the target.
Yeah.
I laugh, and I'm like, hands on the wall.
Can I keep like?
So I clarify. I'm like, he left. You know, he did his thing. Can I keep doing my make ready?
Doing my thing?
Now make ready.
Now make ready. All right. So now make ready implies he didn't say make ready yet, but he did. My gun's already loaded. So I don't think that's how that should have been handled. I mean, I'm not a freaking moron. Like, even if they want to call me that, like, I know not to pull my freaking gun out when there's somebody, you know, in the stage. But I think it could have been handled a little bit differently. You know, what if I was like a newer shooter and I just started like doing my thing? Like, if I had pulled my hands off, would I have gotten disqualified? You know, neither here nor there. It's just something I wanted to point out. So I keep doing my make ready. You know, I want to make sure everything's loaded. You know, my dot has my brightness on and everything. Nobody's talking at this point. Make sure my glasses are running. And then he says, like, are you ready? So nobody has mentioned anything prior to me shooting the stage about some procedural penalty for a fake gun. Okay, that's the point of showing all this.
Ready. Stand by.
Are you ready? Stand by. And I should just... I'll just let it play. So you can see there, I will rewind a little bit. So this one right here, this was where those two steals were, but they've been replaced with one single target. So still the same amount of hits, but now it's one paper target, and that's why we had to reshoot it. My stage is considerably better. Okay, so my audio just cut out, so let me... Okay. Stage is finished, right? So we're going to listen very carefully to anything, if anything, Chad, the RO, says.
Finish unload, choke clear.
Unload, choke, clear. And I unload and choke clear.
Clear, hammer down.
If clear, hammer down, pull the trigger, holster. Then he walks away.
Clear.
We're going to let the rest of the video play out.
2186.
It says 2186. That was my time. All right, so I think that was my time. I think that's what he said. You're saying the time.
All gas. It's called all gas, no brakes, right?
What? 2 alpha?
Alpha.
2 alpha.
So this audio is coming from this mic right here. So the camera, it's further away than it looks. But the camera's further away than it looks. So if somebody's close to the camera, it's not going to pick up audio very well.
Another 2 alpha.
Yeah, I got
Thank you.
Restoring.
Oh my gosh.
Mag back there.
I got out of breath there.
Fucking scooting through that shit.
I did that a little bit. I was confused
And then, you know, technically-
when I went over here. I was like, wait, they took both the steals away.
yeah, I mean, that didn't really like register to me because we didn't get a second walkthrough because it wasn't that much different. So when I went to, because I didn't really care. I mean, I was out researching, making sure I wasn't getting DQ'd. So I didn't walk through it again. And I was like, yeah, like as soon as, like while I was shooting, I went over there and I looked over there and I'm like, I thought there'd either, I don't know why, but like, it doesn't make sense now that I've been able to rationalize it, but for whatever reason, I thought there'd be like still one steal and they replaced the other one with like a paper target, which now that I think about it, wouldn't have made sense because it would have added hits and we were already at the max hit limit, which is 32. Yeah, so I was just confused when I went over there.
But I guess it's the same number of hits. So, oh boy.
Somebody was, you know, Sterling was being funny. He was using like hand and arm.
What does that even mean?
Which I didn't know was a thing at the time.
Are you turning left?
Alpha Charlie. Alpha Charlie.
Okay.
He was being funny.
I didn't know there were hand signals. Are those like official hand signals?
Yes.
2 Alpha, Alpha Charlie, 2 Charlie, 2 Delta.
Okay. This is the part that's important. We just saw, without a shadow of a doubt, nobody has told me anything about any procedural penalty. All right? Here's the tablet, and this might be on her.
1 Delta, no mic, 649.
1 Delta, no mics, 649. That is what I read, which is good, pretty good. You know, 1 Delta, no mics. I didn't have like a ton of Charlies, I don't think. and I shot it pretty good,
Yeah, that's
right? And I hit approve. So we're gonna, now this is like where investigation comes in, right?
Nine.
Yeah, that's
So the exact moment,
Nine.
yeah, that's fair.
That one Delta, no mic, 649.
that exact moment right here, when I hit the button, right, is right here, is 18:52:52. Now I've lined up those times. The time on the tablet was wrong, right? 18:52:52. That was actually right around like 12:50 or 51. But it doesn't matter because 12:52:52. Let's just assume that's the time for when I hit the tablet. The time that it was edited, a few seconds later, it says all these. The only actual thing that was added is the procedural right here, and I don't think anybody's gonna contest that. But right here, 18:53:20, right? This is about 28 seconds later, right? 28 seconds is when they edited and added the procedural from that very moment. So we are at 2:27. Let's just say like 2:26 and a half. 28 seconds from then. So it would be 2:55 on this. Is right around when they hit approve. So we'll keep playing until we get to that part.
Yeah, that's fair.
That was better than my first one. And I'm the one that broke the thing.
I'm the one that broke the thing.
Did they hit procedural on it?
No.
So I think she asked like, do you want to stop?
Did they hit procedural on it?
No.
Did they hit procedural on it?
No.
My fiance, my camera person, later told me that she witnessed and overheard the lady say something along the lines of to Chad while I was yapping, wasn't he supposed to get a procedural on that? She absolutely said that. I trust my fiance more than anybody other than Jesus Christ. And if she says that, it happened. So she said, not to me, after they walked away, while they're kind of like over here, like, wasn't he supposed to get a procedural? And she told me this after the fact. So at this point in time, I didn't know.
Yeah, reload every time. Every target, reload.
Like he's
Oh boy.
whenever I'm.
That was pretty good. We had to reshoot this stage. And I'm the reason for that.
So this moment right here, when she pans over, is actually kind of hilarious. Because, remember that time that I said 2:55 is that 28th second on this?
There was 2 steals over here.
Area.
Where that target is, it used to be 2 steals.
3, 4,
And
5. It's right after I panned away. So they had already approved the procedural. Like, they had already edited it in and put it in there. And still, on camera, nobody has told me this.
I think I broke one of them on the last time I shot it.
So they've already edited. It's already an invalid edit of score. But I'll continue the rest of this video to prove that they never told me. They never told me.
I mean, just tell me a bedtime story.
Right.
So yeah, I shot a lot better this time. Last time I got like a 4.4. This time I got a 6.5. So pretty nice.
I am thankful. I mean, the reshoot like worked its way out, and getting a 6.0, like I outran that procedural by far. Especially compared to the way that I shot it the first time. Like I surely outran it, but it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. They edited it incorrectly, and we've already gone over. It doesn't even constitute 8.7.2 anyway, even if they wanted to do it. So they didn't edit it properly. They did not get mutual consent of the shooter, and that's what I'm about to go over here in a second.
At least I got it all.
So they were doing the kill bill challenge a couple stages away, so that meant, because this is in reference to we were waiting for a long time to like reset or fix or whatever the stage, and I'm pointing out the fact that it took a long time.
It's a bill drill. They're already doing the bill drill. We gotta hurry up. Yeah, we gotta hurry up.
And then, okay, at this very last second, I don't know if you can see this, but this is Chad, right? He is well beyond editing my score, and he is with the other shooter in like the reflection of my glasses. If you can, I mean, on YouTube on your phone, you can usually zoom in. This is Chad, the RO, and the next shooter getting ready for the next stage. On this very last second, you will hear something very familiar. You hear that? That is the beep for the next shooter to shoot. Meaning, I'm done. Like, I am far done. The next shooter is, and that's why I put my headset back on too. So you can see me.
We gotta hurry up. Yeah, we gotta hurry up.
Head off, and I see them. I hear the beep go off, and I quickly put my headset back on so I don't blow my eardrums out. and then the video ends, right? So that's the end of the video. They already got to the next person. You can't just throw the flag, after the play is dead, right? I don't even know if that's an official rule in the NFL, but like, whatever. You get my point, right? You can't just you just can't do that. And the reason you can't do that is for a reason that I'm going to list right now. We can close this out. We're pretty much done with that, right? So we're going to go over to 9.7.2, okay? If corrections to a score sheet are required, these will be clearly entered on the original and other copies. This is mostly referring to like paper stuff. Changes and corrections must be logged by the electronic scoring system. If we go here, I don't know if it says, it doesn't even have a reason. They don't even have a reason on here. Reason removed for edit stage edited. Convenient, isn't it? They don't actually put a reason for the edit, which nobody ever does, and they need to start doing that, right? There's no reason. But if we go over here to 9.7.2, if corrections to the score sheet are required, these will be clearly entered onto the original and other copies of the competitor's score sheets, right? This is like mostly referring to like paper stuff, but we don't use that. Changes and corrections must be logged by the electronic scoring system in use at the match. The competitor and the range officer, this is important, the competitor and the range officer should affirm any corrections. They didn't tell me shit. They didn't tell me nothing. And we just saw it. We just saw it in 4K. Corrections are defined as modifications of the score sheet before the RO and the competitor sign off on the score sheet. They didn't do anything before I signed off. So what happens if they need to be edited after I hit approve? Well, that's down here. So you can read this one. This one's mostly not really relevant to the situation we're talking about. But then this one right here, 9.7.4. When a score has been affirmed by both the competitor and the range officer, the score, whether it's on paper or an electronic device, is considered to be conclusive evidence that the time, scores, and penalties, even if there's zero, as recorded are accurate and uncontested. The score, again, whether on paper or electronic device, is deemed to be definitive. I hit approve when there was no procedural penalty on there. However, there are stipulations. It may only be changed to add penalties under Rule 8.6.2. So let's go to 8.6.2. 8.6.2 says any person providing interference or unauthorized access to a competitor during a course of fire and the competitor receiving such assistance may, at the discretion of the range officer, incur a procedural penalty for that stage and or be subject to Section 10.6, which is disqualification. And then it goes on to basically elaborate that you can receive coaching at level 1 matches, but not by the RO, right? So right here, this is saying the only rule reason that you can edit a score post-approval is 8.6.2 and is, say, somebody off the stage, or maybe I had an earpiece in or something, was coaching me during the stage. Nobody is saying that's what happened, and that's not what happened. We will go back to the rule, we'll continue, or to correct arithmetical errors, which is like math or something. That probably has mostly to do with like paper targets, where say the RO adds the math incorrectly or something. Or by mutual consent of the competitor and the originating officer or range officer, right? Or, which did not happen, he didn't get mutual consent from me, and I still don't give consent, by the way. Or due to an arbitration decision, right? Arbitration decision is basically, it's basically like USPSA court, and you have to alert them within 1 hour of the event happening. Because an arbitration didn't happen, so editing the score is not valid. You are not allowed to edit the score. And you didn't get mutual consent by me and the range officer. You just stole my consent without my consent. It's almost like rape, really. It's kind of funny because he did not get consent by me, and that's the only valid reason that would have maybe fallen under being able to edit the score. But he did not get that, did he? So changes are defined as modifications to the score sheet after both parties have signed off on the score sheet. The review button, when the lady hits review, that's them approving it. Yeah, it's right here. So yeah, initial, if using electronic devices, touching review represents affirmation by the RO, and touching approve represents affirmation by the competitor. So it's right here, right? So yeah, when they hit review, which the review button is the only thing that allows me to hit approve. So there's no such thing as hitting the review button after I hit approve. You have to hit review before I hit approve. So they hit review, right? I hit approve. It is done. It is, where is it? It is considered conclusive evidence that the time, scores, and penalties as recorded are accurate and uncontested. The score is deemed to be definitive. But he went behind my back, refusing to tell me about the edit, and edited my score and added a procedural invalidly against the USPSA rules. And might I add, for a reason that not only did I find out in the YouTube comments section of my video, which, true story, is the real way that they're supposed to tell you. Not only that, it's not a valid reason, and it does not constitute under 8.7.2 because it did not take place during my walkthrough. So it doesn't fall under this, even if they wanted to give me 8.7.2 validly. A, you can't edit post-approval, and B, it's not valid. It doesn't fall under this rule. Now, is that stretching the truth of the rule a little bit, you know? But doesn't matter. Like it clearly does not constitute under that rule, right? So let's continue. This is that whole thing. I believe that this, without a shadow of a doubt, proves that the RO, Chad, what's his last name? You know what? Chad Stanton intentionally, against the rules, edited my score for an invalid reason. And it was no accident. Because if you read the comments that are under my thing, many times, he repeatedly defends himself to the point of laughing at me, saying, let's pull it up, procedural stays, doubling down. Actually, at this point, it's like quadrupling down. No arb, he's referring to arbitration, and it's because it's too late. Like, I can't open an arbitration decision. He said, good luck with that. I've never once, in this comment section, in the video, in my big argument under Grizzly 97s right here, I never once advocated for editing my score back, and I'm still not. So then you're probably like, well, then what the fuck? What's the point of making this hour-long video yapping about Oklahoma City Gun Club? It's because I don't want stuff like this happening to new shooters who are none the wiser, who truly are none the wiser, truly just don't understand the rules as well as somebody like myself does, at least at this point now, because I'm forced to have to learn every single freaking rule. They have pulled little stuff like this on me and yelled at me for either not understanding the rules, or they tell me that I'm misinterpreting the rules, which, first and foremost, you are not the person that interprets the rules. NROI is who interprets the rules. You as an RO, a match director, or a range master do not have the authority to interpret rules. NROI interprets rules, okay? And we're gonna go to that, right? This is something that I want to point out. This is just something that I think is a little bit funny. I want to read this out loud. The director of NROI, his delegate, or an officer of the organization, in that order, so you have to go through all three, may withdraw USPSA sanctioning from a match. Such action may be taken at any time where, in his or their opinion, a match contravenes the purpose or spirit of the principles of the course design, which isn't what we're talking about, or is in breach of any of the current USPSA rules, or is likely to bring the sport of USPSA shooting into disrepute. This video will be going to the director of NROI, and you can make whatever decision he wants. I would like him to look over it with an honest heart and with intellectual honesty, and determine whether or not this blatant disregard for rule following by the RO, as well as the match director, several of the shooters who are ROs, as well as the actual RO, are doubling down on this, both in my comment section, as well as most likely in person if you question them. But I am going to pass this on in reference to this rule right here, because they are absolutely in breach of any of the current USPSA rules. And I believe, me personally, although it's not up to me, that it is likely to bring the sport of USPSA shooting into disrepute, because this whole clique culture that's in USPSA is really bad, and it really turns people off from the sport when it's this whole like rules for me but not, or rules for thee but not for me type of attitude, where as soon as somebody like me just speaks up anytime about any rule ever, it's this huge problem of I know more than you because I'm an RO. And it's like, yes, you are an RO, but I know how to read. Like, I know how to read. Yes, you're most of you are better shooters than me too. That's not something I claim either. I don't claim to be this fantastic, great shooter, but I know how to read. I know how to read rules. I know how to read the interpretation of those rules from NROI. The website's fully available. You can always read it. And I encourage you to read it. I encourage the RO to read it, actually, and look for the proper interpretation from NROI, because you do not have the authority to interpret rules. So let's move on. There's a couple of other things that I want to talk about. So let's just point these out. It's just a couple of other things that have happened at USPSA. Not that have happened at Oklahoma City Gun Club specifically, that I find a little bit of an issue with. There's a couple other things. Another one is this, right? So I have another stage that's edited. The stage that I'm referring to also from the Oklahoma State Championship match, is Jesus Built My Hot Rod, okay? I don't know what number that is, but Jesus Built My Hot Rod. Christ is King, by the way. This was edited 2 hours after. So the first edit was when they originally entered the score. We did not reshoot this. Was at 21:03:55, right? So this is hour, minute, second. So it's this one. So this, let's see, when do I hit the tablet? So she hit
Procedural
for me.
Well, what is it?
I didn't hit it, but so this is 1 minute and 42 seconds into this video. This video is timestamped at 3:02. So this would put it right around 3:03, 3:04. So this one happened at 3:05. This is actually 3:05, roughly, give or take like a couple minutes. When they edited it, it was, so this is 3:05, right? This is 4:05, 5:05, and then another 30 minutes. So around 5:30 is when they edited it, right? But I want to put something out there. They edited 2 hours after. I can't tell based on this what they edited. I don't know. I don't know why they edited it. However, because it doesn't, reason for edit, stage edited. This is not a valid use of editing. You should be putting the time, or not the time, you should be putting the reason for your edit and explain it if you're gonna edit people's scores after they leave the match. So let me show you this, right? So this is the last stage of the day. This is the last stage that I shot on the day, right? This one is timestamped at 4:35. So a stage that happened at 3 o'clock was edited an hour after I shot my last stage, and 2 hours after, more than 2 hours after, I shot that stage, right? So I'm gonna go through the very last video that I took that day. It is this one. It is my outro that is in the championship video, right, with Tactical Tool Belt. This video was filmed at 5:05, so still 25 minutes prior to that edit. When at the closing of the video,
Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and bye.
so this is about 2 minutes, so 5:07 roughly, we left.
And we're out.
We left, yeah, we're out, yeah. So like, we left. I got in my car and drove away. We already taken all of our stuff off. I got in my car and drove away. So 25 minutes after that, they edited another stage of mine. Again, I don't know why. I can't piece together from this because there's no reason for the stage edit. I cannot piece together for this why it was edited, but it was edited 30 minutes after close to 30 minutes after I left, and 2 hours after I shot the stage. What's this about? This is an open question. Oklahoma City Gun Club, Mitch Gibson, why is this edited? I deserve a reason for why this is edited, though. This is much less of a concern to me because this is my worst stage of the day and I shot like absolute garbage, and I'm pretty sure I got dead last for carry optics, so whatever. But a concern nonetheless. Right, let's look into a couple other things that Oklahoma City Gun Club has done in the past from a sample size of one person. God knows how much this is happening to other people, right? So I have a couple videos. Let's go to my channel, and this is the video that I'm going to reference, right? And I'm already at it. Lefty Lucy. So I'm just gonna show me shooting Lefty Lucy. So I have two. You can reference this video. 2 shooters.
Shooter 8.
Shooting this.
Stand by.
I don't know who this Arlo is. I'm not necessarily him level 1 match. But this is level. And then somebody else faster. I shoot both hands on the last 3 rounds.
It finished unloading, so clear.
No problem.
Hammer down.
I did get 2 no shoots. Leave me alone. But this is Lefty Lucy right here. Lefty Lucy, 2202. The last 3 targets must only be engaged weekend only. I got so much flame in the comments, which I have since deleted. At this point, I wish I hadn't deleted it. That's on me. But I got a ton of flack and issues from just straight up haters. saying that I cheated, that I'm a cheater because I didn't shoot it the way it's supposed to be. The RO instructed us the way he instructed us. And since Oklahoma City Gun Club just outright refuses to print out the classifier stage briefings and leave them on paper dangling from like one of the walls or something, stuff like this happens. And it's happened more than once. So there's another video. So they did end up reversing this one. USPSA reversed this one. And they, after a long, it took weeks. But there's another video, which is this one. Some of you are seeing something wrong here because Bang and Clang, where is it? This one? Bang and Clang, you are required to have your wrists above your respective shoulders. 3 people mentioned to the RO on this stage, which I don't know if I have them on camera. 3 people mentioned to the RO on the stage while we were doing our walkthrough and stuff, you're supposed to have your wrists above shoulders. Like, look at the thing. We brought it up to the RO in the day. The we is referring to the 3 people. 2 people that knew the rule, and then me who was like, I've seen Bang and Clang, like I'm pretty sure. We were absolutely sure it was being instructed wrong. And the excuse that I always get from the RM is, we don't need to print it out because it's in the tablet. Clearly this is not working for you, sirs. Like, you need to be printing out the classifiers because clearly your ROs are too incompetent to instruct it properly. And brought it up to them. We were like, hey, because the RM will always say, have somebody come and find me. That doesn't work when somebody like me, who is #locally hated at that match, is the one saying something, and they just continue on without me. We got told to fuck off. Now, he didn't literally say fuck off, but he was like, no, it's wrist below belt. Like, he was so confident. But that guy did not instruct the stage properly. You are the RO. It is your responsibility to properly instruct the stage according to the stage briefing for the classifiers, right? You failed to do so. I don't care if you're a real RO. If you're not a real RO, honestly, like, they shouldn't let you be ROing classifiers. I understand that there's a shortage of ROs and they kind of need, like, just naturally competent people to be ROs. But if it's a classifier, you should have a real trained USPSA official RO to instruct. But they didn't do that. And this guy refused to pull up the briefing that is in fact on the tablets. And we get situations like this. And somebody commented, hopefully the classifier doesn't get tossed. And somebody said should be tossed. I don't know who this is. I think this is like a random commenter. And I said, agreed. I mean, if they're going to refuse to construct it correctly, something this club has a documented history of doing, I have at least 2 on camera. I've only been to like 4 matches at Oklahoma City Gun Club, aside from the championship. I've got 2 on camera being instructed wrong. Even if it might benefit me, I don't care. I want a GM because it's in like my Road to Grandmaster series. I want a GM because I earned it, not because I got off on some sketchy ROs who are allegedly, to put that, allegedly cheating, right? These are what I like to call the oil capital folks, right? The guys that are in their little clique together at Oil Capital. And I personally believe, this is an assumption, this is a hypothesis, I am not saying that this is a fact, but I personally believe they knew damn well that this was supposed to be wrist above shoulders, and for whatever reason, they were just like, I don't know, this is just a hypothesis, right? They were just like, nah, fuck this guy, fuck you and your stupid hair and your big ass fucking thumbs. They were just like, nope, I'm just gonna run it however I want to run it because I'm the RO and I shoot better than you and I know better than you, and therefore I can do whatever I want. And that's the attitude that it's brought to a lot of these USPSA matches, and I interact with it a lot. And it's because I'm a new shooter. Like, I have only been shooting USPSA for, what, a year? And really only started taking it seriously, like, in August. Like, I'm a relatively new shooter. And so if an RO believes that they can, like, sit there and punish me because, oh, well, he's new, he doesn't know any better. I'm also young, and admittedly, I'm pretty argumentative. Their personality doesn't match with mine, so these people don't like me. And I know they don't like me. And I know they do stuff like this to me because they don't like me. I just can't prove it in court. But I think if you ask them, I think under this comment section, they'll probably admit, if they even get this far into the video, that they don't like me. But anyway, let's continue. There's some more things, right? There are a couple things that I want to point out that I was an eyewitness to at Oklahoma City Gun Club. I said I wasn't going to name names, and I still won't say names, but who shoots PCC was shooting a stage And it was this day. I don't have it on camera, but it is, what stage was it? It was this stage right here, right? During this stage, right here, when was shooting this, he shoots PCC, right? Oh, he shot this target, and then he panned over to this target and this target. When he panned this way, his PCC smacked this wall, and it absolutely 100% like broke 180 very badly. And I believe that the replacement RO decided not to call it because he did recover it pretty quickly. He's a big guy, he's very tall, and when he hit this wall, there's no camera footage, so I can't like prove this, but this is eyewitness testimony. There was an audible like, oh, because A, he smacked the wall like really hard with the PCC, and B, like it was pointed at them. Like my fiance says, like I could see the muzzle, like I could see like it wasn't like 180 degrees like backwards, but it did break that 180 line a pretty substantial amount, like far more than leniency. He 100% broke 180 bad, very bad, to the point where most people audibly gasped, like, oh, like, you know, like I just had a rifle pointed at me. He continued to shoot the stage. He did not get disqualified, and I believe personally that it's because he's a very well-known and frankly a very good PCC shooter who is very well-known, has a little bit of clout behind his name, and he was also the RO, and a lot of these people that were in this squad were his friends. So, hey, I don't have any proof to that. This is eyewitness testimony. You can call me a liar all you want. I know what I saw. I know what my fiance saw. I know what my friends saw. That's what happened. So what's the point of all this, right? Why do I even care to make this stupid video, right? Am I accusing Oklahoma City Gun Club of cheating? No, not really. Do I want Oklahoma City Gun Club to get their USPSA license pulled? No, not really. Am I just sitting here to complain? No, not really. Why did I do this? Like, who cares? Like, most of you watching are hate watching, and I know that. But because I don't want to just sit here and complain and make a video and just complain the entire time. I want to provide solutions, right? So solutions that I think that not only Oklahoma City Gun Club should do, but I think all of USPSA should do. And a lot of these are going to not be very possible due to things like funding and you know, support and volunteer. But here's my solutions, right? At Oklahoma City Gun Club, specifically, because they have such a history of cliques and issues with the ROs favoring some people and punishing others, I think that at Oklahoma City Gun Club specifically, shooters should not be allowed to RO. Full stop. Especially in that squad where they can handle their own scores. I think there needs to be an audit system in USPSA, if there's not already, I'm not sure, that audits all of these edits that places like Oklahoma City Gun Club and Oil Capital have. There are so many edits to so many people's scores. I have trouble believing that all of them, especially being that it's a tablet, so we can assume that arithmetical errors are not valid. Arbitration decisions literally never happen. Nobody ever does those. So that's not the reason that these edits are happening. It's not happening because of 8.6.2, because they almost never host level 2 matches, right? And 8.6.2 is only for receiving coaching, and it requires both people to get procedurals. And even if that happens, you can just know to do it prior to hitting approve. There are reshoots. Reshoots are a valid reason to edit, but they're not doing reshoots that often. We had an issue where I was on another squad. The match director, the match coordinator and everything, they always say, if you want to squad with your buddies, sign up early. I set an alarm. I wake up at that exact time. I apply, and I put myself in the squad. I was not only the very first person to register on the match, but I was the very first person in my squad, right? My squad filled up with a bunch of Oil Capital guys, and I show up on the day, and they're like, we had to move you. I'm like, why? And he's like, well, because it's a bunch of the Oil Capital guys. Basically, letting them click together. And I'm like, I was the very first person. They joined my squad. I didn't join theirs. I'm the very first person, and I'm shooting with my friend that's still on that squad. Okay, so you told me specifically, if I want to sign up with my buddies, sign up early. And I was the very first person on the entire match. So he did change me. He did very reluctantly change me over, right? I was still on that other squad. So during this match, that other squad, because their RO is incompetent, I don't know who it was, they were behind us. They kept deleting my scores every stage. They were like, he's got scores. So instead of just leaving it alone, finding the match director, or the match coordinator, the RM, and saying, hey, we have a person on our squad, and instead of assuming that I just didn't show up the day, they removed my scores. They deleted my scores. So there's like 10 or 11 edits of them deleting my scores after the real RM, or not RM, the real RO on these stages was putting in my scores. That stage would get to these stages, and they delete my scores. And so they had to re-edit it. The RM had to re-edit and remove those zeros, because I was zeros. I went all the way down from to 75 or something. I was like way at the bottom of the match. He had to re-edit and put my correct scores back in, and that is mutual consent between me and him, because I was texting him. A couple days later, me and actually somebody else told me, they were like, hey, I saw that your scores were fixed. They were put, where they were supposed to be, which is what my real score, 7 out of 35 for carry optics and 25 out of 100 for the overall. It was fixed. The RM fixed it. I'm not going to say his name. Everybody knows who he is, but he has not opted to divulge his name in my comment section, so I don't feel that. Plus, I don't have any hate toward him. He fixed it, and then like a day or two later, a friend of mine reached out to me, and they're like, hey, I saw that your score was fixed, but it's not again. Like it's back to zeros. Like all your stages are back to just zeros. So I text him, and I'm like, hey, like, I know you said you fixed it, and I saw it was fixed, but I'm looking at it again, and it was back to the end. And I'm like, hey man, like, why is this happening? He responds with something along the lines of, I just checked and it's all there. To me, that implies that he's telling me that it never changed. But right after I got that text, I checked and it was fixed. Whatever. I just think it's a little bit sketchy that stuff like that's happening. I can't think of a valid reason, because if it's like, oh, I forgot to hit enter, then it wouldn't have shown up on my end in the first place, like the first time he fixed it. I'm personally under the assumption that it was intentionally re-removed, either due to ignorance or due to the fact that they don't like me. Something else. Moving to another topic, right? There was a time during, I think it was this match. I think it was the October match. At this match, the RM of Oklahoma City Gun Club, well, let me backtrack. So there's a classifier. In fact, I'll just show it. There's a classifier. Somebody, I'm not going to say their name, but had an issue where they had like a very serious malfunction with their firearm while shooting this stage, and it like extremely hindered. And me and a couple other people brought up like, hey, you are able to reshoot the stage. The problem is like you have to request it. You need to get validation from the RO, which I think if you're going to allow reshoots, I think you should just let people do it. Not enough people ask for reshoots that it's going to take that much time. I was like, you can reshoot it. What it's going to do is it's going to take the average of that one and the reshoot. It's not going to delete that one, but for classification purposes only, this one, the one that you just shot, that one will stay for the match. And then for classification purposes only, this is in the rulebook, you can look it up. They will average between the two of them. You can reshoot and they'll average between the two of them. Because what used to happen, and what the RM was under the assumption of, is that you could just pay like $5 to just reshoot many times. Keep paying, keep reshooting. Now they only allow you to reshoot once. That's what we brought up. We were like, hey, like you can ask him. He got extremely angry at just the question, like screaming. I mean, I don't mean yelling. I mean screaming at us over, oh, I'm not going to let you do that because then you can just reshoot it. And we're like, no, like that's not what I'm saying. Like, A, he's the first person to ask to reshoot today. This is one person that is requesting to reshoot, right? Not enough people reshoot that it's going to take that much time. And he kept yelling about something, oh, it's taking too much time. Like, I'm not just going to let everybody reshoot until they get a better score. Nope, we don't do it. And then he was trying to tell me that the rule is that somebody could reshoot many, many times, and that you pay $5 to reshoot. I couldn't find anything in the rule book. Technically, the range itself, it can still charge money for that, because they can charge money basically whatever they want. But what I was saying is like, no. Like, that's not how that works, right? It's an average. Like, it's an average between your first shot, which stays as the match score, and then the second one just gets average to go to your classification. I've actually used this in the past to another range that was very friendly and let me reshoot. He said and yelled at me and saying, no, you're wrong. Like, I know the rules, you don't. Basically something along the lines of that. And I'm like, whatever. I'm not getting an argument of this. I'm just trying to tell you that I believe that you're under the wrong assumption, that you think that people can just reshoot it hundreds of times when that's not the case anymore. You can only reshoot it once, and it's still, yes, it is at the match director's discretion, which I think way too much USPSA stuff is at the match director's discretion, but that's neither here nor there. He was adamant on that, and I was adamant on another thing. So I just left. I walked away, right? We went to the next stage, and I'm on my phone, and I'm talking with my fiance on my own free will, and I'm talking to her about the rules. I'm looking up the rules. I'm Googling the rules. I'm like, I want to be able to cite this. And he says, scoldingly so, he says, "Are you looking up the rules?" Yeah? Why are you yelling at me for looking up the rules? I am a shooter at your club at a match that has rules. If I want to look up the rules for any reason whatsoever, even if I'm 100% wrong, which you believe that I was, which I wasn't, and he's scolding me, yelling at me for even looking up the rules, and he says something along the lines of, "You're not going to find it." So long story short, I found it. I did not bring it up to him because I didn't want any more problems, and he was already very fuming, very angry. But yeah, I basically found like the actual rule that outlines, say, like, you are allowed to reshoot for classification purposes only. And then it goes on to explain that it takes the average of the two, and you can't reshoot a bunch of times, right? That was the argument that I was making. And I got scolded for looking up the rules. That's the part that I want to emphasize right now. I got scolded for emphasizing the rule, for like looking up the rules. That day forward is when I started writing this. The entire I mean, I have other notebooks. This is just like chapter 1 and 2. But that's when I decided to write the USPSA rulebook by hand, and I only did like 1 through 12. I didn't do the appendix or any like glossary or anything like that. Just the rules themselves. That way, because I had already gotten into squabbles and arguments about rule set with, you know, other people at other matches, and I was basically determined. I'm like, listen, if this is going to be a problem and these people are going to click up against me and, you know, yell at me for even mentioning the rules, even like looking up the rules, I need to learn like, you telling me not to learn something makes me want to learn it even more. So that way, when these squabbles and these arguments come to me, I can handle them accordingly. But I want to close with this. Here's some things that I think USPSA needs to do, or Oklahoma City Gun Club needs to do. Oklahoma City Gun Club needs to have printouts of their classifiers, because I have been able to clearly show that they don't have competent enough ROs to pull it up on the tablet. Okay, your excuse is always that it's on the tablet, but I've shown at least 2 times, and I think it's happened a 3rd time at a match that I didn't film, but I'm gonna have to use the 2 times that are on camera. And they've instructed it incorrectly, and even to the point of, you know, disagreements. People have brought up, but myself, this is wrong. You're instructing it wrong, because I didn't want the nightmare of the comment section from the last time this happened to happen again. So I think they need to have it printed out. You need to print it out. Every other range I've ever been to prints it out. I know you can afford it, okay? Just print it out. Leave it at the stage and leave it hanging from something. Okay, that's the first thing that I think would make USPSA better. I think that would make Oklahoma City Gun Club better, and they wouldn't have to pay all this money to do classifiers and then have to have them, you know, pulled. Another thing is, if you do not have ROs that are officially trained by USPSA, do not let them RO ever. Literally, including me, because I've RO'd on these matches before, right? So I've RO'd a few times, but I intentionally try to avoid classifiers. You should not be letting me RO, or anybody that is not an official RO for that matter. Thirdly, if you are going to have ROs that are not trained by USPSA and don't have active, current classification, or whatever the word for that is, certification, sorry. At the very least, you should not let them instruct classifiers. If there's too many people that show up and there's not enough ROs, either close the match sign up to less people, charge more money, or make less squads. USPSA needs to have an audit system to audit all these edits that are going on, because there are many edits that are listed without reason. Some of which are fine, you know, and I like to think, you know, I hope that the vast majority of them are for very legitimate reasons, and they do contact the person that is involved, and they do get mutual consent when it's necessary. However, I think it should be audited. I think there should be a legitimate, you know, unbiased source, unbiased person that does not shoot at these matches, that audits these scores and these edits at random or something, right? just so that there's this little fear of like, oh, I can't do that because if we get audited, we can get our license pulled for USPSA, right? There needs to be a little bit of that. Number 3, or number 4, number 5, whatever. I don't think ROs should be allowed to shoot the day of the match. If they are going to RO, especially in a championship match, which was the case for this championship match, to be fair, you should not be allowed to shoot not only that day, but definitely not in that squad, right? And I think this should be the case for all ROs. I know that's a funding problem, and it's hard because there's not a lot of people. But what USPSA should do is just introduce, more classes for RO, instruction and certification, and then maybe possibly clubs should provide funding and pay these people for their time. It doesn't be anything crazy, but if a match of 140 people and you pay 20 to 40 bucks a piece, you're looking at well over like 2-3 grand, and you can even do like 50 bucks, just for your time, just a little thing, because you got to think there's probably like 8 ROs for 50 bucks. You're looking at like 400 bucks, is being pulled, but it keeps everything fair, and it doesn't allow, or at least it lessens the possibility of like clicking and stuff like that. Lastly, the last thing that I want to say, I just want to address people that are involved in this situation. Mitch Gibson and who is it? What's his name? Chad Stanton, Mitch Gibson, and especially Wiley Brown. I would prefer a formalized apology, because I did not seek to discredit any of you. I simply just want to lay out the rules. Yeah, I got a little heated in the comments, as many such cases, but I don't mean to discredit unjustly or unjustifiably the range, or you as shooters, or you as an RO, right? That is not my intent, and I like to think I've done a pretty good job in this video of not doing that, right? I only want to provide discredit where it's due, right? Like where I'm showing, proven without a shadow of a doubt, that these rules are being broken. Things are happening at this range that should not be happening. Whether it's due to rules or just due to basic morality, these things should not be happening. So Mitch Gibson, Chad Stanton, Wiley, you weren't even there. Like, I happen to respect you a lot. Like, if you're watching this, like, I respect Wiley a lot. I loved that guy. He was great. Like, I loved everything he had to say. He gave me great advice on the day that I did shoot with him. And I don't know why he's commenting on here. You weren't even, like, with all due respect, man, like, you were not there. It's really bold of you to make a claim with zero eyewitness, backing it. I digress, so I'll just move on to Mitch. Mitch, you are the match coordinator. You called me a cheater. You accused me of cheating by using an aiming device, which is not the terminology that's used in that rule anyway, during the walkthrough, which I did not use it during the walkthrough. I want a public apology, because, these people, don't really know forgiveness, in my personal opinion. Although that is a little bit of an attack, I probably should take that back. And, I will take, I will take that back. I don't know them. I don't know them that well. But I would prefer an apology. I would prefer some sort of public apology. At the very least, text me. You have my number. You can call me. Chad Stanton, you doubled down many times saying that you made me aware. Maybe you did. Let's assume 100% of the... Let's assume everything you said is true. Let's assume you did tell me. You still did not edit the stage properly. You still violated rules to edit it properly. Okay? So I would love a public apology, if not a private apology. You know what? Screw public apologies. I don't need to make this any more drawn out or public as it needs to be. I would prefer that you just text me. You have my number, and if you don't have my number, you can get it. Grizzly, I don't know who you are, although he's just a guy. That's actually funny. I'm pretty sure I know who you are. I'm fairly confident, I know who this person is. So you were the first person to make this, I believe. I think you were the first person to comment this. Blaming people for cheating. This is almost inadvertently like accusing me of cheating. Although not really. I'm not saying he's accusing me of cheating, but Mitch, absolutely, you did. Mitch, you absolutely accused me of cheating. I would like an apology, because it did not happen on the walkthrough. I already live fired the stage. I had no clue at the time of this occurrence that I was going to reshoot the stage, and it didn't take place during my walkthrough, and the procedural was administered incorrectly, invalidly, and against 9.7.2. I would like you to apologize, me personally. I don't want a refund or anything. That's not what I'm asking. I have plenty. Money's not a problem. I don't want a refund for the match. And I don't even want you to fix my score. Yeah, that's not even what I'm asking because it's too late. It's too late. You can't fix my score. So that's not what I'm asking. But I would love if you apologize to me. Chad Stanton, you were the RO and you proudly, divulged that you were the RO, and then you double, triple, and quadrupled down, and even to the point of what I can only assume is in a laughing manner, laughed at me, saying procedural. I mean, you did laugh. You literally used a laughing emoji. I don't think you read my breakdown either. I think you should. He says procedural stays, no arbitration. Good luck with that. Again, I never once claimed that I want the score to be reverted. To this day, I still don't. That's not what I'm advocating for. I just want everybody to know about the. I think that this is grounds for cheating. I think this is cheating because you're not following the rules correctly. You don't have to be a shooter to cheat. You can be an RO and cheat. You know what? God bless you, sir. You are awesome. Thank you for helping me build a case against it. He's using, pinata emojis, laughing emojis. He's laughing at me because I put the he's saying I put the score in. You can't use arbitration to change the score. Good luck with that, and screw you, I got away with it, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is essentially what he's saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but read the comments for yourselves. It's basically what he's saying. So I would love an apology. I know for a fact I'm not going to get one, but that's okay. I fully expect to get banned from Oklahoma City Gun Club, which would be a hilarious tie and knot to this whole ordeal. But I want to close with this. To Mitch, to the RM, to Chad Stanton, to anybody else that's ever RO'd for me, I genuinely do, sincerely, to the best of my ability, I do apologize for being a pain in the ass. I know that I'm a pain in the ass sometimes. Sometimes I should be taping, and that's on me. Sometimes I should be doing other stuff. Sometimes I'm too busy with my camera and my recording because this is a source of income for me. A really good source of income for me. Sometimes I'm a little focused on stuff that isn't the match, and I genuinely do apologize for that. If I went a little overboard in the comments or even in this video, I really am sorry. I don't mean to be a problem, but to Mitch, to the RM, to Chad, I do forgive you guys. I understand that not everything is robotic. You guys are going to have emotions. You're going to do things based on emotion, and I get that, but at the end of the day, I do forgive you guys. I hold no hate in my heart for any of these people. I just simply want this to be out there that this is things that are happening. This is something that is happening at Oklahoma City Gun Club, and I'll use the word probably, but I don't have any proof at Oil Capital, considering he's the match coordinator or match director or a main RO or one of those at Oil Capital. And it's probably happening there. And there's problems that happen at many USPSA matches simply because shooters just don't understand the rules. Now, do I think you need to handwrite the entire rule book? No, it shouldn't come down to that. You shouldn't have to do that. I encourage shooters to study the rules, to the best of their ability. And if you don't know an interpretation of the rule, do not let anybody, and I mean anybody, do not let anybody try to interpret that rule for you. I don't care if it's the match director. I don't care if it's even the RO, right? The interpretation for these rules is on a website. It's called NROI. You can look it up. If you just Google search right here, the NROI.org. This is the National Range Officers Institute. It is essentially like they have everything on this website and to show the proper, real interpretation of the rules. So if you ever have an issue when you're studying these rules, please just use NROI as a guide in order to properly interpret when you're confused. But yeah, to Chad, to Mitch, to the RM, who everybody knows his name, but I'm not going to say his name, to any other RO, I really am sorry. I'm sorry that it came to this, and if you did watch all the way through, I'm sorry this video is so long. I hold no hate in my heart to you guys. I know that outside of all these arbitration and all these rules and this nonsense, like, we'd be friends and get along just fine. I've chit-chatted with you, Mitch, and you're great. I still, to this day, even with this comment, like, I don't hate you, but you called me a cheater, and that's not right. It's wrong. It's incorrect for all the reasons that I've stated in the beginning of this video. And I really think that if you want to be intellectually honest with yourself, that an apology is in order. So this is an unusual video. It's very long. It's just a lot of me talking. But I just wanted to address these concerns that have been riddled in my comment sections for months, and address the people that are haters in my comments and stuff. and just say, you know what, I forgive you guys. I hold no hate in my heart to you guys. I really hope that you can truly understand that, you know, even though that I have an attitude, I really just want to come to this with facts, logic, and reason, and just really just lay out the facts of the rules and just be like, listen, like, you didn't follow the rules. Like, you didn't follow the rules. Is it a quote unquote like technicality type of thing? Sure, whatever. But I don't think my use of that plastic gun constitutes under 8.7.2 under any interpretation. So it's not a valid reason to give me a procedural in the first place. You didn't administer the procedural correctly, and his claims that he let me know are false. Like, the burden is on you to prove that you told me, because I've laid out all the footage that I have, and you didn't tell me anything. It didn't happen. So with that, you guys, I mean, God bless to everybody involved. You know, I'm sorry that this is so stressful, and this has stressed me out a lot. But this honestly, like, it gets a weight off of my shoulders to just A, openly point everything out. You know, that way I'm not just like complaining about it on my own. B, I get to, you know, divulge all this information in a public forum so that this doesn't happen to anybody else. That's the most important thing, I think. And C, just, I need to forgive everybody. I need to forgive everybody involved. You know, for a long time, I considered myself a victim of, you know, oppression and, you know, all this, you know, nonsense. But, you know, that's not the case, really. I mean, I forgive everybody involved. I hold no hate in my heart for Mitch or even Chad. I mean, I know we seem to disagree, but I don't hold any hate in my heart for you. So, God bless, man. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope this can all be put in the past and we can move on from this. So, God bless. Christ is King. All right. See you later.